I've heard so many different definitions of yoga. I'd love to hear what your definition of yoga is.
Wow. Well, everybody knows the union and all that stuff. But to me, take away all the labels. Because I was asked a question, and you can say this has nothing to do with the question you just asked, but for some reason it feels like it does. So I just go with it, right? So that's the
Totally.
great part of me. You know me, right? I was asked about 6 months ago about the now. And this person asking it was philosophical, like the book, The Now, do it now. It's all psychological, it's all inspirational. It's like, don't worry about the future, forget about the past, just the now. And I'm trying to tell people it's the only place you can be is the now, but in their definition of the now, as soon as I think something, do something, or take an action, it's no longer in the now. It's all in the past. You can never really do anything in the now. Anyway, that's uh, but when you meditate and had a samadhi experience, and and you're in a no mind state, what people will that haven't had one, they don't realize, and people that do probably don't think about it. But you're able to be in this no mind state because you're also in a no time state. There's no that now they were talking about. It's the eternal now, which is totally different. And the only way you can reach this eternal now is through this one consciousness, this union with yourself. So to me, they about union with this, that. It's all about union with yourself, which is really union with the one consciousness. So people say, well, what do you teach? I said, I teach one. They go, one what? I go, it's just one. There's nothing else. There's just one consciousness. And I call it love. Everything else it's the ego. It's the and I try to tell people it's the I-ness. And all of us, because I got a body, you got a body, so we have an ego. Well, I hear people, well, before I had my ego, I'm losing my ego. Well, no, you're not. You still got a body. Everybody's got a body. I don't care if it's your guru, he's a master. He's got a body. To have a body, you have to have an ego. You have to have an I-ness. You have to identify with the history of that body, memories, past, birth, death, life, all this stuff, reincarnation. Now, if you're in this eternal now, this oneness experience, there is no time, there is no space, and in fact, there is no birth, there's no life, there's no death, there's no reincarnation, there's no imagine there's no heaven. Anyway, there's no heaven, there's no hell. It's that's what's interesting about his song. People don't really listen to what he's really saying. They just, but it really is. There's no heaven, there's no hell, there's nothing. And people go, well, I'm gonna do my meditations. I'm gonna do all my yoga. I'm gonna do my Kriya yoga. I'm gonna do all this stuff, and then I'm out of here. This is my last lifetime. I'm going, sure, okay, fine. The thing is, you still got the I-ness, and wherever you go with that I-ness, that me, that ego identity, you're gonna have a body. I don't care if it's an astral body, an angel body, a body of light, a rainbow body of thought. It doesn't matter. As long as you still identify with your own consciousness and you're not in that full-time birthing spot with the one. It's a full-time birthing effort. It's just always birth, it's always giving. Anyway, so to me, union, when I talk about union or people talk about yoga, I'm a different page because I'm into this ultimate union, meaning when you reach samadhi, and just because you reach samadhi for an hour or two or a day or two doesn't make you enlightened and you're ready to go until you're locked into that. I mean, 24/7 or in the eternal now. Then you're in and out of it, and you're still. That's all of us. That's all of us. We're all working on it. So I don't know if that meets your definition. It's you're not going to get that response from anybody else, though. So I'm telling you,
that's why I asked.
it's here's the difference between the now that they talk about in all the books and the now that I talk about. it's time and space. If you suck time and space out of it, now you're in the now. And it's never, it's there. It's, but when you're in a material world, which we have to admit we're all prisoners and hostage here. I mean, we can talk lofty. I can talk, great, but in real world, you cut me, I bleed, right? You hit me on the head, I'm gonna die, right? But that is not real. This is all a dream. It's all God's dream. It's all His. In India, they talk about it being the play. It's just a play of God. I believe that. What I haven't figured out, and I don't think I'll ever will, with a human mind, whole different concept. Maybe when I'm out of my mind, my wife thinks I'm out of my mind all the time, but really out of my mind, then you can conceive of these things. But I'm trying to say that we're not real. Only God is real. And we've been given the freedom, the free choice, the illusion of free choice. I say that because sometimes I have my doubt about free choice here. But we think we have free choice. We go out, we make these decisions. We make life more positive or more negative. We bring it closer to the light or closer to the dark. None of this good, bad stuff. Just you either moving towards the light or you move into the darkness. That's it. It's a matter of losing energy and vibrancy. What's your frequency? So as you live your life and you meditate, you do yoga exercise, which helps the body, change its frequencies. People understand that you're exercising for frequency and energy changes, making your body more a better receptacle of this energy that's there for us to gather. So, it's good for health and all these great things, and it looks cool when you can do all these exercises. But people lose fact that they lose the facts in the process of doing these things. They lose, why are we doing these yoga exercises? Why are we doing these poses? It's all about controlling the body, controlling the energy. And in the end, it's all about energy. But what separates the great rishi, from the animal, from the child, from the criminal, what separates all of us? It's a frequency of vibration.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are going through life, and if they were a light bulb, they'd be in your refrigerator. That's it, right? And you'd only see them in the dark. When you opened up, then maybe it comes on, right? But the big ones, it's luministic. They're like suns, right? It's boom, the light is there. So light is a form of energy. Love is a form of energy. What I'm thinking, light and love are one. And I don't know if anybody else has drawn that conclusion, but to me, in my experiences, if you listen to me talk, or you watch my videos, you read my books, you realize that, hey, this guy doesn't quote anybody. He doesn't go this big language. He doesn't go, I studied under this and learned that. Everything I speak about is from personal experience. And then when I have personal experience, these things come to me. So it's like me talking about the now, the eternal now. I'm only basing that on my experience. I have not read, it may be out there. I don't know if it's a new idea, bad idea. I don't know if it's shared, but it's mine. But I also have lived long enough to realize that what I think when I was a teenager, what I thought when I was 20, what I thought when I was 30, 40, God help me, I was 40 once, 50, 60, 70, when I'm going close to 80 now. It's an evolving process. Or like that new book to me, where's who moved my cheese? Every time you think you got the cheese, it's been moved, right? Corporate business world, every time they got it, they keep changing the rules. Well, you know what? Your individual perception of the truth, not the truth, that never moves. Your perception of the truth will change. You take somebody who's been raised in the Catholic Church and they believe in all this stuff, and then things happen to them, and later on in their life, maybe they evolve, they're a Buddhist all of a sudden. You go, how'd that happen? And then maybe they evolve from there to their own individual thing.
So yeah, let's cut in here for a second. Like, how did you evolve into like where your current understanding is. Like, what introduced you to yoga?
Well, I was born into a self-realization fellowship family. So 1946, everybody's doing the meditation. You know, my mother's doing it. I'm introduced very early, and I started making up my own meditation set 18 months, 2 years old. I mean, I'm doing things I didn't know what I was doing, but at 18 months and 20 months, you know, really young, I'd take it, I'd hold my eyes in, you know, make them force them so they could look up here, and I'd see colors, and I'd go, wow, this is really, you know, kaleidoscope with all these colors, you know, it's really cool. And then pretty soon you look at it, more and more colors and flashes, and next thing you know, you're out of the body and you're traveling, and all kinds of neat things are happening. You're only 2, 3, 4 years old, right? So I think when people ask me, well, how'd you get into that? I have to get them back to a different world, because I feel like I kind of came in having that direction already.
Mm-hmm.
I came in and the tree was already bent, the branches were already bent. I mean, there I am, very little change from my outlook as a younger person to now. It's just degrees of importance in things. For example, in 1970, about 72 or 3, that's a few years, let's say 72, make my math easier. What's that? 50 years ago. I was meditating, really having a real long meditation. I used to meditate 2 hours a night, 2 hours in the morning. And before I meditated, I would do yoga exercises, and then I'd do the SRF recharging exercises. And then I'd have a half hour playing a record, and I'd have to keep moving the record so I could play it, playing these chants. And I had a headset, and I was listening to these, you know, yogananda singing chants and stuff. So I was all hyped up. So when I got to meditate, I mean, I didn't watch the news. After dinner, I didn't watch nothing. My mind was just clean slate. I put my kids in bed. So at 10 o'clock at night, I'd start my meditation. So I'd meditate. And then this one night, I was just so focused. I got into bed and the mind was still vibrating.
Mm-hmm.
The spine was still vibrating. If I was a tuning fork, ding, you think it stopped. If you really, no, it's still there, right? It was like the tuning fork is still going. So I get into bed, and I got a picture of it's called The Last Picture of Yogananda. It's when he's at supper at the hotel when he dies, you know, an hour later or something. It's a great picture. I had a black and white. I still got it around here, someplace, another room. And I'm staring at that, and I'm laying there, and I'm just feeling overwhelmed with goodness from my 2 hours, you know, meditation, and about an hour preparing for the meditation. People overlook that prep time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to. It's again getting your frequencies more in line with meditation. Mm-hmm. So I'm sitting there and I'm staring at this picture of Yogananda, and Rob, you experienced this. I know you have. When you look at a saint's picture, be it a photograph or a drawing or a statue, whatever, if you really unblinkingly, total full concentration on the face, it's alive. Mm-hmm. It's alive. It's looking at you. It's you're there, right? It's a melding. So that's what's happening. I'm looking at Yogananda, it's just, and then all of a sudden it's just went boom, and I'm totally out of my body. I'm see, when I first had this experience, I thought I was traveling. So I'll come back and explain it. That's where I started this story to explain that. I always have a roundabout way of getting where I'm going. So got my own GPS inside. So all of a sudden I'm out of my body. There is no weight. There's not even a weight of my own consciousness. It's like, it's a samadhi experience. It's like, and I pictured at the time when I analyzed it, because I'm going to tell about the experience, but I analyzed it. I thought, oh, I'm traveling, because it was like Star Trek, where when they go into warp speed and all the lights go, all these planets and all the stuff's going, and I'm just going, you know. And at the time, I thought I was traveling, but then 25 years later, I woke up one morning, and after a dream, and I go, I wasn't traveling. Because if you're traveling, you're going and things are coming this way. But I was going, and everything was coming at me from every angle, up, down, sideways. It an expansion. So my consciousness was expanding at this greater than the speed of light. It was just going right. And at the time, I didn't analyze that, because at the time of the experience, I'm not analyzing anything. But I'm in this. I know and I sense and I can tell, I can see. But it's interesting. I'm inside this rainbow, this filament of light. It's just rainbow traveling across inner dimensions, outer dimensions, cosmos, worlds unseen, unknown, dimensions, wherever. And I know I'm not alone. And there's my I-ness, which was very muted because I'm in this oneness greater, but there was an awareness of that I-ness. Mm-hmm. Say that. And I know there's others similar, like me, part of me, just like the cells in your finger. They're part of the cells in your toe and your knee and your kidneys and everywhere else, right? It's all you. Each of those think they're an individual cell. They act individually, right? But their function is this greater body. I mean, the lungs can't do it on its own. It needs everything else, right? So in this rainbow, we were all cells of this rainbow. We were a traveling group of vibrating I-nesses, muted I-nesses, giving that I-ness up to be a part of this oneness. If that makes any sense, don't ask. I'm just telling you what happened. So, and I'm realizing that this group that I'm traveling with, literally, I was going to say through time and space, but I realized there was no time and there was no space. It was like, but traveling for what my perception was in time and space would have been 300 million years or so. And I'm out of my body this whole time. It's only an hour going by in my body back home, in California. But it's like, and I'm seeing the alpha omega, the beginning and the end of that period, whichever way I want to look, focus. It was all a matter of that. And I'm seeing worlds being created. I'm seeing worlds being sucked up and destroyed. And I'm feeling at all levels the super vibration. It's just so fine. Everything's vibrating. But it's not just the rainbow and the rainbow people vibrating. It's everything was vibrating. And the frequencies, like tuning forks, put them together, that all frequencies were tuning. Everybody was frequency that was the same. It was all like tuning forks. The planets, this, that. It was all vibrating together with this rainbow. And I noticed that there was other rainbows, not as brilliant. I mean, this one was brilliant. It was just going crazy. But there was other kind of like rainbows out there. And I came to know, not being told, I knew that the group I was with, they were in charge of spiritual evolution for various material world places. Okay, so this group was integrating their reincarnations in Earth-like places, Earth being the main one, but possibly other places. And their job was to change the frequency wherever they went, bring it up. They would go into a life just like a regular person, no knowledge of having been in the rainbow. They'd lived their lives, and then the last few years they realized, oh, this is my dharma, this is my purpose. But they come in, they suffered pains, agony, poverty, all the stuff. They go through everything. And then they pull people closer to a different, they pull them closer to the light. Their job is to change the frequency in many different ways. So that's this group's job, which periodically evolve, and the rest of the people in the rainbow would all be sending their energy and stuff to this representative down there, or representatives. And but these other rainbows was like science, math, philosophy, and politics, art, music. And those groups, like Mozart type people would be coming from this music art group, and Michelangelo maybe, and they'd come down and they'd jumpstart the world when they came into a different level. I mean, these Mozarts and Michelangelos, I mean, they came in, they elevated things. I mean, one guy comes in can really change things, right? So that was their job. And but the group I was with, it was a continual rebirthing of the cosmos and the planets, with coming in who would go through all the price of being a body, being the price of being a human, being a material soul, which means you got to be born, you got pain, you got suffering, you got all that stuff that goes with it, and you got death and all that. And yet this group was all committed volunteers. It was like you're locked in till the end. This thing could all be rubbish. I have no way of proving any of it. It means nothing. But I tell you, when I get through this, I'll tell you where I've had readings where they told me the same thing after me not sharing anything publicly. So just kind of keep. Okay. So there I am traveling with this thing, and I could see, I could hear, I could feel, and several other things were coming at different levels, but I couldn't describe what sense it was. But there's multiple senses that you can't see, apparently. So there's all kinds of information coming in. And it wasn't until I remembered my family. I had an I moment. I got a history. That was it. It was dead. It was finished. Boom. I'm thousands of pounds of weight back in my body, man. Just like, and I woke up and I was bawling like a baby. I was going, what's wrong? And I just, tears rolled down. I couldn't talk for a while. It was like, I love my children. I don't want to, until I remembered them, I was blissful. Then I came back to the harsh world, the body, and everything. Oh shit. I mean, this is, but so I had that experience, and it took me 20 some years to figure it out. Because when I first described the experience, I didn't know what a rainbow body was. So I didn't know. I left it aside. So I finally learned something about a rainbow body. And I didn't know about this concept of you're not traveling, you're expanding. Now, I don't know if anybody's written about that, but basically, I woke up one day and said, no, that's not travel, because travel, you'd be going point A to point B or something, right? I'm not traveling. It was all directions. I'm seeing everything, hearing everything, feeling everything from every direction. And there was nobody in this rainbow giving me any lessons or talking to me. It's an instant, we're all on the same page. We know, right?
Yeah.
We know. So
yeah, you were saying that there's math and there's science and but I may have missed what was the message of your group that you were talking about?
spiritual evolution. Just evolve the planet and the people, or I don't know if we were higher level places, lower level, but basically material world places, evolving them, and maybe perhaps going to other world, astral world places and other things that, on different level, maybe evolve that.
Right.
That's what it was. And it's a lot of ego to think that was even true, but I came back and it was so real. It affected me for 30 something years.
Yeah.
And when I came back, I knew, because I tried to write it down, and I realized that, and I was letting known before I came back. I knew that, I remembered that. You're not going to remember it all.
Right.
You'll only remember when you need to know. You don't understand this. You do now, but you won't then. Because now you got a nothing mind, and you're going to go back into material mind, and this concept, you're not going to get it. So there was a lot of stuff that over the years I go, oh, another thing. Oh, oh yeah, something comes up. I go, oh, that's what happened with this. So it's been an ultimate unraveling, kind of like peeling the onion layers of that experience, because that experience is still growing me spiritually.
So I think this is a perfect opportunity to just flesh out what that means, the evolution of material, because to me, like, your message is healing. And that, to me, I don't know, I might be putting words into your mouth on this, but that seems like that is really the message of material evolution.
It's all about healing. So here's the thing about, and we can talk about that for a minute or two here. I woke up this last year. I mean, one day after 14 surgeries and 300 stitches on my face, tearing my nose off and forehead and everything else up. I'm practically the bionic man. It's like, there you go. Never complained. It's interesting. I went through all those. I showed you some pictures earlier. I went through all those 300 stitches and all those operations and never took one pain pill afterwards. They wouldn't operate on me unless they could deaden it. I mean, no, we're not letting you. I said, okay, great, do what you got to do. And I'm kind of glad I did, because as good as I am at pain, it was painful. I was like, yeah, okay, all right, I'm glad we did that. But I realized that I'm going through all this, and it's not just for me. And I'll have to tell you a couple of stories to get to that point, but it's not just about me. It's not about me healing. It's not about me going through all these, things. When I'm talking to you, I tell people what I went through. Okay, here's me 6 months ago. Okay. That's one of 14 surgeries that look like that or worse. That's not the worst. Okay.
Yeah.
But I kept learning after 14 surgeries. I kept applying what I've learned as a child. I talk about that, which was using yoga and a power of energy, like recharging exercises. I realized you could recharge, get the energy, and actually have it come through your hands, and you could hands on, and you could actually heal. I healed my dog that was run over by a car. That's another whole story. Anyway, and then when I moved to Hawaii when I was a teenager, and I studied under David K. Bray, the big ultimate kahuna of the 21st century or the 20th century. 19 something was that? That's the 20th century, right?
20th century, yeah.
Yeah, I get ahead of myself. I can't remember what decade I'm in, let alone century. So, and he taught me some things. At the time, he taught me things. I was 18. He was 60 something years old. And there's this old guy, and he's doing all this, kahuna stuff, and he goes into all this. Now it's a big deal, but back in 1964, nobody knew about this stuff. The power of love, self-love, the power of self-forgiveness, the power of gratitude, and forgiveness, and all this kind of stuff. And at the time, I'm going, no, you want to heal somebody, Bill, this is what you got. You got to love you first. At the time, I kind of go, yeah, okay, great. But as I gotten older, I realized that, plus the recharging exercises, plus what I learned in dreams, plus what I learned in the Himalayan mountains on my multiple trips to India, and people I talked to, nameless people, I have no clue who I talked to. They could have gave me a name I wouldn't have meant anything to me anyway, and I could pronounce it. But people I met along the way just showed me things, and some people showed me things that didn't even speak English, but they'd show me things anyway. So I put all that together, plus my dreams, plus my own intuition, and I came up a way to utilize the power of self-healing to, and you saw that picture of, the face, at one time, this entire forehead was gone. This 6 months ago, all the skin off there was gone. There was a big, huge hole here. 10 months ago or so, this entire, from here up to there, was gone. 3 months before that, this whole nostril was cut off. That was gone. September, from here down to there, I don't know if you can see a line maybe.
Oh, but okay. Oh yeah, I can see it right like
sliced right across there, right around the tear duct, and the cancer was underneath the eye socket there, and they took it out. That was September. All right, so every operation I had healed quicker, and then quicker. And first, I just did stuff, and the pain went away. And I go, well, this is kind of cool. And then I learned that not only can the pain go away, but by loving those cells, by loving that face, by loving that nose, by loving all that, I could transcend not just the pain, but I could also begin the healing process. And then my last operation, this one that sliced me from here to there, and then my eyelid, they cut off big. Oh, in October, big chunk of this eyelid was gone. Anyway, the eyelid.
I mean, that does, it looks completely.
But I had this. I got to share this. This is so cool. But I was given this real neat eye patch. I mean, this is cool looking, right?
That is super cool. Yeah.
Come on. Anyway, I come home with that. My wife looks at me. She goes, "I go, this is cool." Yeah. So I took a couple pictures of it, and then I took it off to do something. And I realized eyelid was healed hours afterwards.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, hours. This took a week. This took hours. The nose getting cut off, everything 3 weeks. So it kept getting quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker.
So how does is it are you just paying attention to that part of your face, or what? Tell me more about that.
I actually give a free workshop, and if you come, I'll give you 50% off the free money back guarantee. But I decided I can't charge people for that. I mean, as people go, for example, I went to Santa Cruz in December 19th, whatever it was. And that's why I did my first one, because I decided that I have something that I got to pass along before I'm dead. I mean, come on. I developed something that's working for me. If it works for me, it works for anybody. No razzle dazzle, no magic, just pure, loving, healing energy. And so I went to Santa Cruz, had these people, I said, get me a venue. And it was like, I don't know, by the time I had a venue and had to buy the place, maybe buy insurance for 5 hours, I had to buy insurance, almost $400. I couldn't believe it. Anyway, so counting gas, hotel, I spent $900 to $1,000 on this thing. And people are going, you can't give this away. You're going to lose $1,900. I said, nah. Said, well, you got to put on the poster and everything, suggested donation,
Right. I
said, if you're suggesting a price, it's not free. I want people to give freely without me twisting their arms, embarrassing them. So I went there. I think at the beginning, somebody said that donations were, if you wanted the donations, there was a box, nobody even there, put your donations in. No, you didn't get a receipt. Nobody thanked you. I didn't know who you were. But when I got through, somebody had paid for the rental. Somebody paid for the insurance. Somebody paid for my hotel. Somebody paid for every aspect of the trip, gas, everything. So I gave a free workshop that cost me $900. I ended up making $2,000. But I didn't make it because I take that money, then I gave a free workshop the next month in Elk Grove. Didn't worry about money coming in at all. And I paid for that venue and everything was taken care of. And I got a little left over for another one. So it's always paying it forward.
Sure.
So that's what I'm doing. So now I'm going out. It's a 4 to 5 hours, depending on the group, course. I could do this whole thing literally in 5-10 minutes, but you're not ready for it. The people aren't ready for it. It's so simple, but they're not ready. You have to inspire them with these great stories of healing. You got to go through the whys, the how comes. You got to build up this whole thing. It's like they have to have a puja to get healed. No, just if you believe it, it's done. Forget about it. Don't ask. It's done. If you have to ask me to be healed, you don't have to ask. It's already done. You got to be at that level. So I try to take the group and the group's energy to that place where when I give them that last part, and just before I give it to them, I do a guided meditation on forgiveness. And people go, what? What's this got to do with that? I said, no, trust me. Forgiveness is a key element, a foundational element of self-healing. If you don't do that, you can't do this with hate or anger towards anybody. And usually If you're hating somebody else, there's a part of you that's not at rest with you. And because you really give what you got and what you project, it's your energy. So if you're giving out an energy of hate, anger, revenge at somebody, well, it's all inward. It's you. That's where it starts. That's why I start with people. I want to change the world. I want to be a lifesaver. I want to go out there, and I go, start with you. Yeah, I want to change my daughter. No, change you. Start there. So I don't get millions of people following me, although I get over millions of people watching me on YouTube. But followers, small group of people, because I'm telling them you're responsible for everything that happens in your life. Absolutely everything. The so-called good, the so-called bad. And then I tell them, and then I make it worse by saying there is no good and bad. What do you mean? What do you mean? I said, even cancer is a blessing. I said, the fact that I went through 14 surgeries and now I'm able to help you, that was a blessing. I'd do it again. As painful as it was, I would do it again. And I'd do it tomorrow. Because every time I had a surgery, somebody else will hear the story, watch, see what happens, and other people were healing. Kind of give you kind of a clue. Between surgeries, I broke 3 teeth. What happened? I bit into a prune that's supposed to be pitless, right? And I boom, and it had a pit in it. Obviously, this one wasn't pitted, and it broke 2 upper molars and a bottom. And I mean broke. I mean in pieces, and pieces of them were jammed up into the gum, into the nerve. And when you breathed in with little air, the air would just be right on the nerves. It would be like, whoa, I mean, all 3 teeth, right?
Oh,
And so it was painful. And this was last year, and people were just starting to go back to the dentist's office. I didn't have a regular dentist because I have work done about every 25 or 30 years, maybe. I mean, and so I didn't have a dentist to call. And nobody was taking my call. We already got no new patients. So I finally saw one guy, he had an emergency number. So it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. I just said, I'll call this guy. He's going to answer, right? I said, hey, I got these 3 broken teeth. I'm in great pain. And, well, you come in the office. I don't know if I could do anything for it, but I'll take a look at it. So I come into his office, and he takes x-rays, and he looks in there, and he looks at the x-ray. He goes, hey, you got 3 broken teeth. I go, yeah, I know. That's why I came in. He says, no, I mean, they're really broken. I mean, there's pieces in there, and they're down in your gums, and they're he says, I'm going to have to give you root canals and pull the teeth. So he's thinking in his mind, how much money? 3 pulled teeth, right? 3 false teeth with the fasteners, little metal spikes, root canals. I mean, I see the cha-ching, ka-ching going in there, his cash register. I'm picking up on that, right? He's going, oh yeah. So I said, okay, well, let's do it. He said, oh, no. And he says, this was like March, I think, of last year, March. And he goes, I can't see it till August 28th. I go, this is March. And he goes, yeah, can you hang on? I said, I can't eat, doc. I can't drink. Cold water just drives me crazy. He says,
wow, yeah.
I'll put you on a wait list if somebody cancels. I said, okay. So I go home and I'm going, well, let's just use my magic. So I just I put my hands like this, and I just visualized energy coming in to the crown chakra, energy coming out my fingers, energy flowing through my whole skull, lighting it up. And I apologized to my teeth. I'm sorry, I broke you. You served me so well. I'm sorry. Forgive me. I love you. I love you. And I'm grateful for all the time. I just did this. I didn't say it out loud. People would put me in a nut house. It was just my internal thing going. And I did this sitting right here at this computer, just doing this for maybe 4 minutes, maybe top 3-4 minutes. And then I go, nothing, no pain at all, nothing. So I went down and had a meal. I drank some ice cold water, nothing. So I thought, well, this is kind of cool. So I called a friend in London, and I had a conversation on Zoom with him or something. And he goes, I thought, hey, let me tell you what I just did. Well, I showed him what I did and everything. And he was listening, and he looked like he was not comfortable listening to me. So then he hung up. Then several days later, I found out he had like 6 teeth that had to be pulled, and he had all these other work, and he couldn't get to the dentist. He couldn't get into his dentist, and he was going, and so he tried that. and he made it till he got to the dentist. It lessened the pain down to like, 80 degrees, maybe 90 degrees less or something. And I thought, well, maybe I got something here, right? So then when I got to the finally the cancellation, and a few days, about 5 days later, I go into the dentist and he says, okay, I'll take you in. He says, there's two of us. He's got two dentists. This is big work, right? We're two of us, we're going to work on you, right? Because we're going to do this. And then we'll plug in these metal, studs, and they screw a tooth in, and I don't know. So I said, hey, do whatever you got to do. And he's looking at the x-rays and he goes, oh yeah, 2, 3. Yeah. It's you. I got to probably pull them all, and then we're going to do these root canals. And he's just chinging. I could tell him. He was just, and the other dentists, they're going, yeah. We got the whole morning closed off just for you. I said, okay. I sat down there. I put my earplugs, hooked them up to my phone, put the video on my phone, so I could watch them do all the work. They were, what are you doing? I said, I just want to see what's going on, right? And they're jamming needles and stuff in. I'm watching it all, totally calm, cool, relaxed, right? And then they're working. Fine, they're done in about 45 minutes. They reserved like the whole morning, like about 3 hours. 45 minutes or so, they're done. And the guy goes, well, I'm sorry, we didn't have to pull any teeth. I said, okay. He says, I didn't need to give you a root canal. Not in him. I said, okay, great. He says, I didn't need to give you a crown mold. Oh, well, that's good. He says, I just fixed everything. I don't know how, but he just fixed everything. That's all he said. I said, okay. So it was only $600 instead of, thousands, tens of thousands, right? So I left there, I'm thinking, not only did I stop the pain, but in 3, 4, 5 days, the tooth was coming back together. The root damage was undone. So did I partially heal the tooth as well? I don't know. So I put a video up on that. And within 3 or 4 days, I had about 100 people contact me. You healed me. Not that. And I said, no, I didn't heal you. You healed you. I just gave you a technique. And with all healing, this is the point I try to get in my workshops. That's why I call it self-healing workshop. Because people try to, oh, Bill healed me. Reverend Bill healed me. And I'm trying to go, give yourself credit. It's the same God within me as in you. It's that God in us that is healing us. And it's your belief in that. And if you believe whatever I do helps you, great. But ultimately, it's you. If you're healed, it's through your efforts and your belief. I said, that's why the placebos work. What do you mean placebos? They're not real. Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, you give somebody the cancer and you tell them these sugar pills they're taking is going to cure it. They'll be 15, 20% of those people be cured on the sugar. And the doctors will obviously it's in their mind. It fixed their body. So I'm telling people the same thing. It's all the mind. If you believe Western medicine will do it, or Eastern medicine will do it, or chiropractic, or acupuncture, or the dentist, it doesn't make any difference what you believe in. If whatever you believe is going to cure you, that's what will cure you. Simple as that. So I go out there and I'm teaching these workshops, and I'm trying to inspire people to see themselves as their own guru, as their own heroic healer, that everything is in their control. And ultimately, they will heal themselves if they ordain it so. And of course, in my workshops, I help their energy. I literally do hands-on with them. And because some people, sometimes you got to help jumpstart a battery. It's, and I try to tell them you did it. No, I just jump-started the battery. It's like you're going to a restaurant, you have a beautiful dinner served to you, and you go, oh my God, this is the best I ever ate, boom, boom, boom. And the waiter comes and you're hugging the waiter and thanking him and all that stuff. And I go, I didn't cook it. I didn't raise those vegetables. I just served them. You consumed them. You enjoyed them. But the cook, the chef, the God, the divine, the one, that's who cooked it. And you received it. And when your mindset is that you're the one as well, then there's a melding. You're healed. But don't thank the waiter. I'm just a pipe that water and energy flows through. So, so that's what I'm out there doing. And so that's why this summer, after all these surgeries and all the stuff I've been through, I thought this is something tangible. What the people that really listen to me, because it's three-pronged, I tell them physical, mental, but more importantly, spiritual. And I tell them that, yeah, you can cure all these things physically, but your body's going to eventually find some reason to die and it's going to rot and it's the end of it. So, but what's really valuable is to find out why you got these things. Everything, the foundation and the basis of all disease, mental and physical, is spiritual disease. And the worst spiritual disease of all is the belief that you're separate.
Mm.
And when you believe you're separate, separate from what, Reverend Bill? Separate from what? No, separate from one. We're all one. And sometimes you meet people that are further along on that concept. And you can tell because you're around people in the 70s, 60s, it was like, oh, he's got a good vibration, man. Yeah, we're, the vibration, good vibrations, right? It was all about literally, you meet somebody, there's a vibration. You fall in love with somebody, there's that vibration. It's harmony. And so I really believe there's some people that they're never going to be melded together very well, not this lifetime. It's a pretty rough because they're not vibrating the same. The husband and wife got totally different worlds they're in mentally.
Sure.
Physically they dwell the same place, but they're not there.
Yeah. So are you thinking that, like you're mentioning forgiveness before as sort of one of the foundational things, is that a main ingredient in finding that oneness?
Yes. Yes. First thing is you got to forgive yourself for having an ego. Hey, I'm sorry, God. We're one. We're one. That's the ultimate Adam's apple was ego. That's interesting, but it's when a thousand interpretations for Adam and Eve. Every culture's got one, every religion's got one. My take on it's a little more poetic, philosophical. I look at that as man was introduced to his ego, his oneness, and realized he was separate. And he got separated from the garden where he was one. He was one with the garden and God and all that. And then now he's on some material plane where there is no more separation. But even that's a philosophical fable thing. I mean, you could get into all those stories, but it's poetically fitting though. It's just when we start thinking we're something, that just creates greater separation. It's like you going out to the ocean. You go out to the ocean, and you get a jar. You get some ocean water. You take it away, and you got a jar of water. No, you got the ocean there. You've separated it, but it's never really separated. It's still, if you go back down the beach and pour it in the water, it never left. It's still one.
Is there anything that, in your experience, gives you an indication as to discovering, like, what's the cause of my birth? Why was I born into the situation? And all of those things in terms of bringing your forgiveness that deep or that far back?
I'm not one that goes into this concept as most Christian religions do, the original sin. We're all sinners, Speak for yourself. I mean, first off, there's negative things you do, there's positive things you do. And again, going back to the light or to the darkness. But I'm not into this, you're born in sin, but I do believe you're born in karma. If you believe in birth, then you got to accept death and you got to accept karma and you got to accept reincarnation. Although there's people out there who won't accept reincarnation, but they'll buy the others. Then they buy heaven and hell and all the rest of that stuff. So I don't buy any of that as reality, but I'm living in that because I got a body. So while I'm living in a body, I could deny the unreality of pain and the unreality of death, but they're upon us because I identify with this body. No way, there's no way I can argue I don't.
Mhm.
There's moments in my life where I don't, but it's not an all-in thing. Otherwise, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you. So anytime anybody comes to you and they say, I'm perfect, I'm this great avatar. First off, anybody that says they're great, if they say they're a great avatar, then they're not. I mean, where's your humility? You shouldn't have to advertise a rose. If the rose bush, you walk by the rose bush and say, "Hey, smell me, I'm beautiful." No, it's a rose, man. A rose doesn't have to advertise. It's a rose. It's beautiful. You see it, right? A great soul doesn't have to say, "Hey, look at me. I'm an avatar. Follow me. I'm it, man." And by the way, we need more money. You know, God don't need any more money, and we don't need any more people out there without humility. Um, because there's a guru business going on out there. There's a lot of good gurus, but they've been taken over by followers and organizations that they've created, that everybody thinks their idea in the organizations create more money, which means they charge more for events, and you got to pay $2,000 or $3,000 to be, a special weekend or a retreat with somebody. And I'm going, well, when does the poor guy get his shot? What's like I said, and once you got clothes that you're wearing and you got a roof over your head, you got your meals that you need every day. What do you need more money for? I'm sorry, um, you need money to put on an event. Like I rent buildings. I know I pay for venues. They're expensive. When you reach expenses, good, great. Now the rest of the money's going for the next one. That's how it works, right? You get a little surplus. Good, that pays for me the next time I have to worry about it. Boom, that pays for my transportation to the next event. But it's not like, oh, now I can give me a new car. Oh, now I can add on to my house. No. So I don't know what the question was, but I wandered off down the jungle trail there.
No, but that's good though. You definitely answered my question. Um, the next place I'm curious about is this idea of separation, because you mentioned if you believe in birth, then you have to believe in death. So where are you when you're not in this body? And maybe
Okay, let's
yeah, I
let's
guess let's leave it at that.
let's think about that, because everybody now is familiar with near-death experiences. It must be 10,000 videos out on near-death experiences, easy on YouTube. And everybody comes back with a different experience. Everybody comes back, and I hear near-death people going, "Well, before I was enlightened," which I always laugh and chuckle because, no, you're not enlightened. You had a few moments where you were sick. You went over, you had an out-of-body experience. Great, you learned something. You come back, but you didn't get perfected, and it may have jolted you to some new insights, perhaps created some new wisdom in you, but you're far from done. And it's all learning experience. But depending on what religious beliefs you have, what philosophical beliefs you have, that will definitely influence your near-death experience. The divine is very good at giving you what makes you comfortable. If you're a Christian, you expect Jesus waiting for you, and your dog and your mother, and all the dead family and all that. That's probably what you're going to get. God will make you very comfortable with that near-death experience. I really believe that. And if you're Muslim, you'll have a whole different voyage. If you're Buddhist, you'll have a whole different voyage. And I say voyage because it's like a journey. And so these people have the experiences. They come back like, well, I know it all, and this is the way it is on the other side. Well, that's the way it was for you. And I don't doubt it. And so they should be, considered they're telling the truth. But that was their experience from their vision, from their perceptions, from their filters. And because there's some people just can't handle something that's outside of that, so they see what makes them comfortable. I really believe that. And very sincerely. And they come back, and if it makes them more religious, more power to them. That's beautiful. If it makes them more spiritual, more power to them. That's also beautiful. If they were an atheist, now they believe in God, great. A lot of good things happen from having a near-death experience. When people go around and watch those videos, they go, geez, I'd like to have a near-death experience. No, you don't. You don't have to physically die to have a spiritual awakening. I mean, if you got to go through pain and practically be dead, that's not how God intended any of this. That's what meditation's for. You know, that you can get there. There's other portals that you can enter that. But then again, I tell people, meditation only serves one purpose. That's to communicate your love with God. Now, if you go into meditation because you want enlightenment, you want peace of mind, you want wisdom, even those good things, those are all things. God is secondary. Mm. You got to go into meditation with, I love you. I'm here. I love you. How can I serve you? I love you. End of story. See, and then most people, okay, let's talk about meditation a little bit. People, because I'm a yoga, I teach Kriya Yoga. You know, some people say Kriya Yoga. Yes, wrong. It's supposed to be Kriya Yoga. Well, I'll tell you what, some people say it's Kriya Yoga. Kriya Yoga, call it any way you want. But I believe in techniques. Techniques have a purpose and a place. They're a tool. You can't just sit down without any effort at some technique to quiet your mind and raise the frequency. That's what these techniques will do. So like Hamsa technique, the Om technique, Kriya Yoga technique, I mean, name a bunch of other ones. There's all kinds of them. They all work. A lot of people go, this is the best. This is the best. No, this is the only. This is the queen. This is the king. You know what? It's not the tool that makes the carpenter. It's the carpenter. So you could be using the greatest meditation technique of all time, but if your mind is butterfly, and you're thinking about you, and you're thinking about, I want to have an experience. Most people go into meditation, and they're looking for experiences. And if they don't get experiences like odd experience, some kind of a supernatural stuff, mystical things, reading minds, walking on water, doing something, right? It's like, what am I doing this for? And they'll meditate, and when they finish, they're going, well, did I feel anything? And they analyze it. They didn't even analyze it while they're doing it. Or they're so focused on counting their prayer beads. I say that was 106. No, that was 108. No, they're counting prayer beads, right? And then they're focusing on the energy going up the spine and down the spine, and the heat and the cold and the mantra they got. And they're going through all this stuff. Think about it. All that stuff takes mental. That's all mental work. All right. So you got to realize that the techniques are in place. If you follow them and really get into it, then you kind of lose yourself in that. Some point in time, you lose yourself into that. And I mean, I've started meditations I never finished. It's just like an hour later, and I go, oh, yeah, okay, I guess I didn't have to go to, 108 of these, it just did it at whatever number it was. So, but don't focus. To me, real meditation starts after the techniques. You've done the techniques, you're sitting there. Don't get up. Sit. Now, sit in love of the divine. Just surrender. You spend an hour in doing these techniques, spend an hour sitting there. That's the whole cream. I mean, you just churned up the milk into a cream. Sit and make it butter, right? You just got it in cream now. Just a little more effort. Love, you'll make it. So it's the last part of your meditation. That's the true meditation, because you become quiet. And in that silence, you embrace the one. You're not going there to say, show me the money, materialize things for me. Come on, Come on, you know, spending time with God is just about loving God. It's not about, hey, God, I got cancer. I need you to cure it. Please help my child. He's in trouble. You got a list. That's about prayer. People mistake God for Santa Claus, and they go to God, and it's like, I want this. I need this. I need this. Oh yeah, I need a Mercedes Benz. God, come on, all you gave me was a damn Volkswagen. Come on. Anyway, so God is not Santa. I don't go to God for anything. To me, if you ask God for a healing, and I'm going to get beat up on this, people go, what's wrong with McDonald? You should ask for healings. God knows what I need. Asking is a lack of faith. I should be thanking God. Thank you, God. I know you'll give me what I need. You should go in your prayers. Give me what I need. Not, here's what I want, because had I prayed for a cure for my own cancer, I wouldn't have been able to go through all these neat experiences that I could share and help others. By going through all that, that's what I needed to be able to teach it. In other words, if you're an alcoholic, Rob, I doubt that will happen to you, but say you're an alcoholic and you want to get sober, you're not going to go to me, a teetotaler, doesn't drink, doesn't have any concept of what you've gone through. You're going to go to a former alcoholic that belongs to some 12-step program, and he's going to help you, and you're going to listen to him because he's been there. And when you try to lie to him, he goes, no, I've done that lie before. No, I know. You go to somebody that's been through what you've been through. So when I talk about healing, had I've never been damaged, how can I tell them to heal? This works theoretically. Yeah, but Mr. McDonald, did you ever go through real pain like we're going through? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So, so that's what it's about. So everything that's happened to me in life, everything was supposed to happen. And that's how I live my life. And so when I go into prayer, it's use me, God. My morning prayer, use me, God. If there's somebody out there waiting for me, use me. Let me serve you. And that's why I like that St. Francis of Assisi's prayer about, you're not here to be loved, you're here to love. You're not here to be understood, you're here to understand. You're not here to be listened to, you're here to listen, etc. That's all about love and service. That's one of the greatest, that's great prayer. And to me, that's really the ultimate. So that's how you should start your day off. Each day, your intention should be to love and to serve. You ask, well, what's your purpose here? How'd you know your purpose? And each of us have the same purpose. Why there's such a kaleidoscope of choices? I'm telling you, your purpose is to love and serve. Now, that could be through music. It could be through guy's a comedian. Somebody else is a garbage man. Somebody else is a custodian. Somebody's a CEO. Somebody else drives a truck and delivers goods. Somebody works in a store. Somebody's a bartender. He's like an amateur psychologist. He's helping all these people. Everything you do it for love of God, in service to God. So when I'm telling you that you're here to love and serve, it's not to love and serve that man or that woman or that company. You have to see beyond that. That's God's company. That's your boss. There's God in him. I'm serving that God in him. Because when you start focusing, it's the same thing with the guru. I follow the God in that guru. Start following the individual, you're in a personality worship, and then there's not a human being out there that doesn't have flaws.
Right.
They have flaws. You go, oh my God, God has got flaws. Yeah.
Well, it's I like the way, sometimes Alan Watts talks about how people who get into the guru business, so to speak, the people who want to become disciples specifically, they're the ones that it's like that saying, if you think you need a shrink, then you need a shrink.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes people get hurt or they get damaged by that process. And you mentioned that before, like you don't you need those experiences in order to become to be able to help other people get through them themselves. To bring that together with what you were talking about before, you don't have to have a near-death experience in order to progress. It kind of reminds me also of what you're also saying about sometimes people at your conference need a battery charger though. And it seems from what I've heard about people who have near-death experiences, one of the things that does help is they tend to come out of the near-death experience with none or less fear of what's going to happen when I'm going to die. Can you comment on that at all?
Well, you hit on something, fear. Fear is what's been driving caveman to go into the cave. Fire. Fear has been a motivator. But most people spend their whole lives motivated fear of failure. I met somebody, I couldn't believe it. The guy was afraid of success. Every time he started to get successful, he'd sabotage things. He just, quit his job, do this. People are afraid of everything, but most people are afraid of, what the biggest one is? Not afraid of public speaking, all those kind of things. But I'm talking about what really I noticed. People are afraid to be misunderstood. They're afraid of being alone. They're afraid of being misunderstood. That's a huge one. It's just misunderstanding people. And there's some people that try awful hard. Some of those awkward people in the world over try. You see, and end up just pushing everybody away. So everybody's got a fear. And so I tell people, fear takes you only one direction, to the darkness. Here it is. Love is the opposite of fear. Light and love, this side. Fear and darkness, which includes depression, anger, resentment, all these other negative things, jealousy, all that stuff. It's all down on this fear-based thing. My God, somebody has something I don't have. They're jealous, right? This guy's more popular than I am. Whoa, how come he got that? I don't have. I got about less than a dozen, but more than maybe just below a dozen people I know that won the lottery, which I don't know if that's a big number or not. I also know about 6 people that were struck by lightning and 4 people that have been attacked by sharks. So I don't know. So they would say, "Oh, what in the no, I know all kinds of people win the lottery," but I noticed with every one of the people that won the lottery, they had a lot of resentment from family and friends and old neighbors and cousins and people. Like, where's mine? You got, I've seen people end up being poor. I had this one lady who worked for me. She won it wasn't a big lottery. It was like 8.2 million or something, chump change. I thought it was a big amount of money. I mean, think about it. If you're in your 40s or 50s, you're going to blow it all. Half that's going in taxes, right?
Yeah.
Nobody does the math in their head, right? So she gets it. She quits her job. Oh, I don't need this anymore, and she quits. She was and she left, and then she bought each of her kids a house and a new car, and everybody got something. And within 1 year, she had nothing left in that tax bill. Whoa, I don't have enough money. They didn't take enough out initially, right? Oh God. She comes back. Can I have my job back? Just after basically telling everybody to, I go, yeah. But none of those people that she bought stuff for would give her anything back. She was broke. So that gets me to thinking, as you're given things in life, it's like there's something in the Bible about talents being given to people. Some people invest them and they got more, and some people you could give them all you want and they still got nothing. It's a big empty hole. We have talents when we come into this life. Be whatever it is. Some people can sing, some people can dance. That's obvious. Those kind of talents. But I'm talking about talents like you're a salesman. You can sell anybody anything. You're good at bringing people together. You're a peacemaker. You're a talented artist. You're talented, whatever it may be. I really believe that there's levels of genius, and it's not just IQ for math or IQ for vocabulary. I think there's geniuses in all the different facets of life. I mean, I've seen people like I've been in countries where just you go in this little town, this guy's got a handful of tools, and your car breaks down, he'll make you the part. And I'm going, that's a genius. He took that and he converted that. That's not even the same car engine. This guy's converted, and boom, there it is. That's a genius. I'm going, wow, right?
Mhm.
So we're given talents in life, and it's for us to kind of figure out where they're at and what they are, and then use those talents to find a way to express our love and service. So it doesn't have to be the obvious ways. Like, well, I'm a teacher. Okay, great. I'm a doctor. Okay, great. I mean, there's some that are obvious, but everyday life is service. I mean, you go to the grocery store and you ring up groceries and you got a disgruntled clerk there ringing it up. She's had a bad day and everybody's mad in the line, waiting because somebody had a bad check or something, And so you get up there and you smile. You give her love.
Hmm.
Send her a prayer. The Irish got this thing. You never walk down a path of life and pass a stranger without giving him a gift. Somebody walks past you, give him a smile, a top of the morning, a nod, a wink, a kind thought, a silent prayer, a blessing, something. When you walk past somebody, we're not talking New York City with thousands of people. I'm talking about, I mean, let's get real, it'll drive you crazy. But you give them something. So everybody comes into your life. How much did you enrich that experience? Are they any better off for having run across your path? So that's why I kind of analyze things. I tell people, when your life is over, it's not who loved you, because I'll go back to my friends that won the lottery. Everybody loved them while they had the money, and then the money was gone. But if you're a real strict parent and your kid wants to do drugs, and you go, if you're doing drugs, you're out of the house, the kid hates you and he doesn't talk to you, but you still love the kid.
Mhm.
The fact that he doesn't love you doesn't make you any less. At the end of life, it's not who loves you, because we got famous movie stars and celebrities die. Oh my God, Princess Diane, she was the world's greatest mother. Was she really? She had babysitters to send her kids off to school. They're boarding schools. I mean, that's a great mother. I'm sorry. What'd I miss? So, but in the end, what's important is, who did you love? Did you love that enemy of yours, the person that made your life miserable? Did you love him? Did you love your terrible parents? Did you love the stranger that you met once, the hitchhiker, the guy you gave? Who'd you love? And if you love the people that never loved you back, greater the blessing.
Hmm.
That's real love.
Oh.
Because you were able to see the God in all of them. So go through your life loving people. Now, caution. Nowhere have I ever mentioned this to you or anybody else. You don't have to like them. You don't have to like them. I mean, I was a volunteer chaplain at Folsom Prison, here in California, sitting waiting for the train to come, right? Anyway, there's guys there that no way in the world I'm going to like these guys. But I loved them.
Mm-hmm.
And they should be locked up. I don't
Right.
want to let them go. They're going to hurt somebody. But I
Right.
loved them. I could
Right.
see the humanity. I could see the spiritual in them. I could see that child, how it got hurt and how it got, damaged in their life. So you have relatives. You have people in your life. They may hurt you. They may do things to you. You don't have to like that.
Right.
You don't have to like what they did, but you love them. And loving people doesn't mean you have to be with them. Forgiving people doesn't mean you have to go up to them and say, I forgive you, Robert. I forgive you.
Mm-hmm.
That's egotistical. Guys can go, well, who are you to forgive me, right? I mean, what did I do? So, I mean, that's crazy. So forgiving people is an inner thing. You're doing it for you. You're just cutting it. You're just cutting it off.
Mm-hmm.
Breaking the chains. Forgiving them frees you. Simple as that. But you definitely want to pray for them. And they never have to ever know. The only time that somebody should come to you asking for forgiveness and you forgive them because it's part of their 12-step program is when somebody's in a 12-step program and they got to ask for forgiveness. Well, then of course you forgive them, because they're asking for it. You do it. You may never want to hang around with them after that because, they cheated you out of money. They stole stuff from you. Yeah, I forgive you, but I never trust you again.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
Right.
So
Well, it's kind of, to me, it reminds me of like the difference between, like, when you're feeling pain, for instance, you're like, you were talking about the pain in your mouth, and you're not loving the pain. That'd be masochistic, right? You're giving love, and you don't have to like the pain in order to heal yourself.
except I'll throw a curveball on this one. My cancer. I literally took the Bible at its word. Love your enemy. I loved my cancer. I thank my cancer for teaching me the lessons it was teaching me. And I think it released it to heal early, but I didn't ask it to. And never did I ever say, God, take this away.
Huh.
Please heal me. Never uttered those words.
Huh.
It was just, thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I was willing to accept whatever happened. See, that's the difference. I'm willing to accept, if,
Mm.
like at Santa Cruz, if nobody gave me any money voluntarily to pay for that event, I was willing to lose $900,000. It was a gift. I'm doing this for others.
Mhm.
So I'm willing to face the operations, the surgeries, whatever it is that I have to face. Uh, so be it. It's always, what's your will, God? What do you want done? What do you
Mhm.
want?
Yeah, I guess we didn't really touch on surrender that much. Is there anything you want to expound on that a little bit?
Surrender is huge, and that's why every 12-step group, every 12-step group, I don't care if it's Gamblers Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, there's liars, there's everything you could think of has got a 12-step program now. Bless them. And every one of them has this thing about surrendering to something greater than themselves, to God. If they can't say God, to something greater than themselves, whatever variation of whatever they want to say. The only thing that me and 12-step programs don't get along with is eventually, eventually, you have to move beyond going to 3, 4 meetings a week for the rest of your life, saying every week, getting up and telling the group, my name is Bill, I'm an alcoholic. Well, whatever you say after I am is huge. What if you got up there and said, I am love, I'm peace,
Mm.
I'm God, I'm I'm hopeful, I'm happy, I'm healthy. I mean, there's so many things you can say after I am,
Mhm.
other than I am, and label yourself something negative.
Mhm.
So, but I understand how the program works and it's saved millions of lives, but it's always the first step. If I was running the programs, I'd say, okay, after a while, there's a 13th step. That's what I'm teaching, the 13th step. And the 13th step is God, the spiritual path, the I am something greater than all this.
Mhm.
So on an individual basis, I do that. Publicly, I support 12-step programs, always have, always will. I send people to them. But I just tell people, they give up one addiction for another one. They give up the addiction to the drugs or the alcohol, and now they take it up coffee, cigarettes, donuts, and meetings.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a trade-off, right? It's a trade-off. So
Right.
eventually you got to get down to a point where it's like, let's trade it in for meditation.
Mhm.
But what's the glue that makes them all work? Eventually, eventually you become a helper instead of the person being helped. Eventually you become a sponsor and you're looking after somebody else that's just coming into the program, and they call you up and you help them get past that point. When you start serving outside of your own needs, you're healing greater than you were before. See, that's the difference.
Mhm.
When you start off on a program, you just focus on you. It's a slow fight battle, boom, boom, boom. But then you start helping others. And for some, I've watched a lot of people, Alcoholics Anonymous in particular, and Drugs Anonymous, all those. it's basically the religion. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. But it's a religion of service. I like it. It's good. And without that, they wouldn't be doing that. They'd be having trouble. So for each of us, you can't judge the other's path. Some people have gone that way and have been through some terrible things, and they come back. I got a friend that's 30-something years, and my God, he literally saved so many lives. Help people get their lives back together, their marriages back together, their careers back together, get so clean and sober. And he's really dedicated a lot of his time and his energy to it. It's like, I'm impressed. To me, that's a life of love and service. And then I look at that and I said, you know what? Everything that happened to him and how he became an alcoholic and everything else was all supposed to happen so he could help these people.
Mm-hmm.
So look beyond all this. All that happened so he could help these people. Remember, you going back to I'd had the pain to help people with pain?
Oh.
You had to go through that to help these people. So, I mean, realize previous lifetimes the guy could learn lessons, but people to listen to you, to make you be authentic, people want to see your resume, your pedigree this time around, right? Not, well, in a previous lifetime I was an alcoholic. No, that ain't gonna cut it.
Right. It's almost like your resume is what are your failures? Because once you have experience of failure, then you really have something to share.
No, think about anybody that has an interesting life, famous, rich, or famous, not rich, but just famous and creative. I mean, take anybody. They all have had moments. I mean, if JFK, right? I mean, he was in the war, and he was blown up, he hurt his back, he had to go through that survival thing, he had his brother get killed in an airplane crash. I mean, he had another brother die. I mean, he had all kinds of stuff, had to assassinate. I mean, a lot of things happened in that family, but all those things made him even bigger. I mean, it's like, wow. I mean, who has a life where you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth, you come out of a rich family, you never had to do anything, you get elected to office, you become a leader, nothing ever happens to you, you're popular, famous, you're good looking. Boring. I mean, Winston Churchill went through some garbage, to get the right spot at the right time, right? I mean, all the great ones, Mahatma Gandhi, they were in jail, they got beat up. They all go through something. Martin Luther King been through all kinds of stuff, and financial perils and, threats on his life. And see, if you had the foresight to see where it would all go, you could handle it. And I got a feeling that some of these great ones, they have that inner vision of where it could possibly go. Just enough to keep them going. Well, this will be all right. This will be all right. So think about my life. I look at my life and even I find it interesting. Oh, man, I mean, if I'd known I was going to, all these things that I did young didn't kill me, I'm thinking, wow, man, that's amazing. I should be dead. But it's a beautiful thing. And when you survive stuff and you learn something from the survival, it's good for you. But it's better yet if you can take what you learned and then you pass it on to the next younger generation. Mm-hmm. So right now I'll be 77 my next birthday in a few months. I don't know what, 60 something days or something, 70 days. I'll be 77. 3 years, I'll be 80. And I'm looking at this thing thinking, if I make 79, 78, 80, 89, 90, that's a good life. I mean, considering all the medical issues I got, no guarantee I make it that long. So I'm thinking it's time to write some more books, time to do some more videos. It's time to start teaching, because what I want to do is I'm taking these workshops out for 3 years. I'm on my 3-year world tour, as I call it. When I'm 80, I'm going to stop traveling. And then I want to look for those people out there that I've run across or have contacted me. They have the desire. They want to continue where I leave off, teaching what I've been teaching. And I want to take those people and give them a series of classes, retreats, etc., and then turn them loose. For me to die with wisdom or knowledge that's not passed down, burning the blueprints to, some great invention. It took a lot to get here. I paid the price. Why should somebody else have to pay that same price? So pass it on.
Yeah.
Plus, I believe that as each succeeding generation goes out, especially now we're in this new age, these kids are coming in with a higher frequency rate already. And so they're able to, the younger ones are able to pick up on where I'm going with this. People in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, they like what I'm doing, they try, but they're set in their ways. 40s, 30s, 20s, teens, that's my target. 40 years old, you still got 60 years. I'm not wasting my time on somebody. They could serve, they could do things for 60 years. And plus, they're coming in on that group the last 40 years or so. It's a different group of souls. Wherever these souls have come from, they're different. Not like when I was a kid. Baby boomers, yeah, we were a wild bunch, and there's a few here and there. But overall, I am not one of these elders who's like, oh my God, look at that. What we're going to do with all these young people. Yeah, there's some young people, there's some misfits out there that are not fitting in. They don't want to leave home. They don't want to get out of the basement. They don't want to get a job. Yeah. But on the other end, there's some thinkers. There's some people out there with talents, spiritual abilities, mental abilities. You think the technology has advanced in the last 20 years, which has just gone crazily advanced. Smartphones, my God. I didn't have a phone as a kid, right? I had no television set as a kid. And now I remember in the newspapers, we used to watch it. Dick Tracy had a walkie-talkie. Oh, look at that. Now it's an Apple Watch. Right. Yeah, you see a face in there, FaceTime.
Right there. Yeah.
There, right? So this next generation, to the moon and beyond, it's to Mars and beyond, it's science, it's technology, and then there's a group that's going to go spiritual shift. The only thing that's the dangers for this group is there's a lot of ego. People have a spiritual experience and then they blow it up like, now I'm enlightened and now this is my last lifetime. And humility has a place in this world. How do you teach people humbleness? I remember meeting this saintly guy. He was kind of a guru guy, telling me that I said, you have to have humility. He says, oh yeah. He says, I'm the most humble man I know. And I had to stop myself from laughing. It's just like, he proved my point right there, right? Yeah, I'm the most humble man I know. Oh. It'd be for me to correct the guy, right? So, but we got people walking out there that they gotta realize, because sometimes I'll be spouting off, think I know everything, and then I'll have some 6-year-old or 10-year-old or teenager or somebody go, well, Reverend Bill, have you ever thought about this? And I go, oh, yeah. Wow, thank you. I still learn from everybody, because sometimes the universe gives us insights from people around us, like they're all holding a mirror. Whether it's coming from them or it's coming from the universe, it's all from the universe. It doesn't matter. It's just a vehicle. So I'm always open to the message, even if the message is on a billboard or in a book or a video, or there's always a message out there. If you're looking for the message, there's a lot of messengers. If you're not looking for a messenger could beat you on the head with a sledgehammer. You're never going to hear it or see it or nothing else. A lot of people are so into themselves. I am the teacher, never a student. I'm the teacher. No, don't need anybody else. I'm telling people that you're all students and we're all teachers. Now, some have more to say, more to teach, but we all have something to learn. And when you think that you know it all, you know nothing. I mean, it's like, um, my wife tells me I must be advancing because she tells me I know nothing. I go, really? Oh, that's
Well, well, on that note, Bill, I really appreciate having this chat with you because I feel like I've had multiple realizations just listening to you talk and share your experiences because they're so foundational. Like you were describing in the beginning of our talk, you strip away all the jargon of things and you just speak from your experiences and you speak from the heart, and it's universally understandable. And that's something that's really rare, and uh it's really beautiful. And yeah, I feel really privileged to be able to have have you, on this talk. And
just you gotta go when we hang up here. You gotta go. God, that old fat Scott Irishman, man, that guy can talk, man. Jeez.
cool. Well, we'll put all the links that are relevant to all the awesome things that are coming up in these next 3 years in the video. And until then, thanks again. And I hope we can do this again soon.
God bless.
All right.